Strange things are happening over there. They are cracking down, and surprisingly so. And I've spoken to the Prime Minister, and let's see what happens. But it is a little bit different situation. I'm very surprised to see what's happening in. Are you talking about the UK in particular, right? Yeah, I'm very surprised to see what's happening. Sad. It's not a good thing.
They will import literally tens of thousands of people from areas of the globe that hate free speech. No problem. Let's ship them right in, which is why you're seeing Nigel Farage do so well in the polls over there. But this guy, he comes home and they arrest him for bad tweets. There's only one thing we can do. We must deport Prince Harry.
Yes.
It is the only way. He must go.
Do we also deport his balls?
Yeah.
I assume you're talking about Meghan Markle.
What would have been the biggest story on virtually any other day of the week? Donald Trump has finally broken from Slippery Starmer and admitted that he is concerned about the crackdown on free speech in the disunited kingdom. Now, his comments came after a meeting with GB News and Nigel Farage in the Oval Office. It lasted for half an hour. The issue of free speech came up. It was, of course, after this blockbuster House judiciary hearing featuring Farage. But before I show you what Trump said, I just want to remind you of the lies that Keir Starmer has told. And he should be called up on these lies because first he was in the Oval Office, challenged by J.D. Vance. Then he was at Trump Turnberry. Both times he pretended that there was no free speech crisis in this country. Watch. Big news. Outspoken is now available as a podcast too. So please do subscribe wherever you get yours, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and make sure you rate and review. I'll take 5 stars, if you may.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. In relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud about that.
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone.
So the thing is, he has his line, and it was a line that was scripted for him and was repeated, but does not take into account the reality on the ground. And the reality on the ground is that journalists are having knocks on their doors because of things that they post on X. Ordinary folk are actually going to jail. Lucy Connolly for well over a year. So finally today, Donald Trump at a meeting with US tech giants attended by Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook finally broke his silence and admitted that strange things were going on in the United Kingdom in regards to freedom of speech.
Okay, strange things are happening over there. They are cracking down, and surprisingly so. And I've spoken to the Prime Minister, and let's see what happens. But it is a little bit different situation. I'm very surprised to see what's happening in. Are you talking about the UK in particular, right? Yeah, I'm very surprised to see what's happening. Sad. It's not a good thing. Yeah.
Okay, so that is major because finally Trump has gone on the record to say the free speech crackdown is sad and not a good thing. And it is about time that Slippery Starmer takes note. The final straw, I think, for many this week was the arrest by 5 armed police officers of the Father Ted creator, Graeme Lahan. He is just a victim of the British deep state. And he has now said that because of the free speech crisis, he just cannot stay in the United Kingdom. That is why he has gone to the US to write his new sitcom. Watch him outside court yesterday.
The police state and the police work for trans activists and left-wing lunatics like that, and they don't work for the people anymore. I met a nice policeman there, but they're isolated because the rest of the police force is just completely captured by gender ideology. So, yeah, I don't want to live here anymore because of that. Thank you.
It is absolutely tragic to see more and more patriots being driven out of the country because they simply cannot exercise their right to free speech. J.K. Rowling making the point that those particularly in the firing line of the deep state are people who speak up against extreme trans rights and speak up for the rights of women, which is such a concern. To my superstar panel, the independent journalist Martin Gauci of Gauci Reports and Hannah Kirkpatrick of Hannah's World. Now, Hannah, you were in the mainstream media for a long time. You came up through the ranks of Sky, and it's only quite recently that you have gone mega viral with your brilliant videos, which point out so much of what we're having to deal with in this country. Elon Musk has reposted some of your work, which means your audience is getting to an audience of millions and millions across the globe. But do you feel threatened? And how significant is it that Donald Trump has now gone on the record?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a crazy week and a crazy few months actually of doing what I do, and what I used to do as well in comparison. Freedom of speech is definitely under threat. I couldn't even count the amount of comments I get on every post saying, "Oh, be careful, you'll get a knock at the door," especially from Americans. They're actually quite worried about me. My friend that I stayed with in Florida recently did not want me to come home. She thought I'd be arrested at the border, you know, the ridiculous thing they do, and they just detain people under the Terrorism Act for no reason. And she said, "You need to apply for political asylum." I said, "I don't think we're there yet." But we kind of are, aren't we? I mean, I loved Farage speaking honestly in Congress this week about the threats to freedom of speech in this country, obviously that we're all suffering under. And we do, I feel, need Trump's help at this point, because what else can we do? No one is listening to us. If we say anything that's deemed as hate speech, which isn't, or anything that's a little bit too true, in my experience, then you just get censored, you just get completely cancelled. And people are always in my comments as well, jokingly, but we're really not, are we? Asking if we can just be the 51st state. And at this point, I would love that.
Martin, we are there though, aren't we?
We are indeed. It's not just it's not this tweets that start putting flags up. I'm getting worried about having this flag up behind me now. Do you know what I mean? I might get
racist,
for just having a George's flag up, but it's true. I've seen it so many times. People just getting it literally. Well, we saw Sarah White, mention her again, literally in front of my eyes, getting arrested for hanging up a flag outside a public building in broad daylight in front of hundreds of people, and the abuse of power by the police to make that arrest. I've seen other footage of people being arrested for attempting to put up flags on poles, and it's really conflicting in that side of things, because we've seen some councils, like Harlow Council, come out and praise and say we're not going to be taking down any flags, and other councils, like I think Buntingford, for instance, are going out every day. They're doubling down. And freedom of speech, we've seen it with just the way that the police are treating people, like knocking on the door, like five armed police knocking up at someone's door to arrest them for saying it's just ridiculous.
Am I right in saying he's not even a British citizen? Like I saw on X, someone said he's an Irish citizen.
He's
so
Irish.
Trump.
He's Irish, and he made the posts when he's in the United States of America. So what
Trump,
the hell are our police doing getting involved? Especially, Hannah, by the way, given what they should be focusing on.
Exactly, but this is why I think Trump, I've heard him speak about this, and he will not accept any unfair treatment on his own citizens. So if this can happen to an Irish citizen tweeting in America, coming back to the UK, this can happen to any US citizen, and that is what he will not accept, and I love him for that.
And they raised that concern. I believe it was JD Vance that raised that concern actually a few weeks ago, but nothing's changed. If anything, they've doubled down, and it's getting worse. You know what I mean? They're just trying to make political prisoners out of people for whatever reason. I don't know what Keir Starmer's actually doing, but for him, I don't know what goes on in that brain of his, because he's blatantly gone to the US twice now, and he's lied.
Yeah.
But he is a fundamental liar, and he does want to take away free speech. He honestly does. On a much more humorous note, by the way, Ben Shapiro went on Fox News last night, and apparently the whole I actually haven't seen this clip, so I'm excited to see it, but apparently the whole free speech thing came up a little bit in regards to Prince Harry. Watch this. But first, we've always associated chocolate with weight gain. But did you know it's actually been shown to help with fat loss? Studies show that cocoa flavonols, the active compounds in high-quality cocoa, can support fat metabolism, improve insulin sensitivity, and even help reduce abdominal fat. But you'd have to eat so much chocolate to get those benefits that the sugar and calories would cancel them out, or worse, lead to weight gain, not to mention the heavy metals like lead and cadmium found in many cocoa products. This is why I drink Morning Bean by Verso. It's a rich chocolate blend with all the proven benefits of cocoa without the junk. Every batch is third-party tested for heavy metals, so you're getting pure high flavanol cocoa you can actually feel good about. Instead of caffeine, it uses theobromine, a natural compound in cocoa that delivers all-day energy without overstimulating your nervous system. Plus, its ingredients are shown to support muscle growth and performance, improve metabolism, and provide micronutrients from superfoods and electrolytes to rehydrate and fuel your body. So yes, chocolate can help you lose fat, just not in the candy bar form. Since tanking Morning Bean, I've turned my morning ritual into something that supports my energy, my metabolism, and my goals. So start your day with Morning Bean for research-backed detox, energy, and health. Click the link below or visit morning.ver.so/outspoken and use the code outspoken for 15% off. That's morning.ver.so/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show.
You know, it kills me, Ben, when you think about the rape gangs and the sex trafficking in England. They were going after the victims. The authorities were going after the victims before they were going after the actual villains.
I mean, they will import literally tens of thousands of people from areas of the globe that hate free speech. No problem. Let's ship them right in, which is why you're seeing Nigel Farage do so well in the polls over there. But this guy, he comes home and they arrest him for bad tweets. There's only one thing we can do. We must deport Prince Harry.
Yes.
It is the only way. He must go.
Do we also deport his balls?
Yeah.
I assume you're talking about Meghan Markle.
She's got him in his purse. All right.
Oh, that was good, Hannah. I hadn't seen that. That was very good.
Brilliant.
From Shapiro and Gutfield.
I watched Gutfeld every night with one of my friends. I stayed with one friend for a month and he loves it. And I must say, they talk about this a lot more than we're probably aware. I would say it's on every night on Gutfield. They mention it, but all throughout the day on Fox News, they are talking about this and they are aware of it. And they're talking about it on their news channels way more than ours are.
No, of course, because, I mean, I was so shocked, Martin, that earlier in the week, woke ITV News didn't even cover the Graeme Lahan story because the mainstream media are so desperate to try and pretend that there isn't a free speech issue going on when there quite clearly is.
And why would they want to cover it? They don't want to. Exactly, you just said it. They don't want to, which is why we are so thankful for people like Elon Musk, who does have X. He gives us the ability to get content, especially like Hannah's. By the way, your stuff is absolutely amazing. You know, get the stuff out there. And you know, the Americans, even when we hold X spaces, that they're even coming in. They're actually talking to us, going, "Is this really going on in the UK?" They think it's like some sort of like one big joke, and surely it can't be that bad. And we're like, yes, seriously, it is that bad. We've like literally become an authoritarian state. Do you know what I mean? It's just everything that you could think of in terms of becoming like communist, like, you know, just since Stalin. It's literally we are like North Korea. If anything, we're you know, they've probably got more democracy than us. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I started doing the videos I do, taking the mick, because mainly actually because of TikTok censorship, which is I am convinced that Keir Starmer is actually in TikTok HQ. He's running the show there. But I was constantly getting community guidelines for doing serious videos, telling the truth, for misinformation when it wasn't. The article was behind the mainstream media articles behind my head. I'm just saying what's in the article, but they don't want it out there. So I tried to fly under the radar, and that's where the call centre skits were born.
But for me, I do think there is a turning point as well. We are at crisis point, and I do think the tide is turning for the
exactly,
better.
And that's why Trump weighing in is so significant, because if there is one man who Slippery Starmer cannot ignore, it is the leader of the free world. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.